So let's start the session. Like,
Okay.
um, 1 second. So in last class, till last class, we have discussed about different transformations. So in this class, we will look into the variables concepts. Variables. So where these variables coming to the picture means, let us say, once you build the ETL package, okay, ETL package in the sense whatever the data you want to pull, you build for a package for each and every source and destination. So once after building the packages, you may have to run that ETL package project. Okay, you may have to run that particular project on a periodical base, like it might be a daily base, or else it might be weekly base, or else it might be monthly ones. Okay, quarterly ones. Some time period they will give you the client based on the client requirement. Like you will follow the, you will open the package and you will execute the package. So let us say I am executing I'm executing my business since last 10 years. Okay, for the first time implementation, what I will do is, once after building the ETL packages, ETL project, so I will pull whatever the 10 years of data that I have. Okay, if I am running this package today, so I will I will pull all the records since last 10 years till today. Okay, so starting day of business to till date, we will pull the records. Okay, so that means today is 20th. Okay, so till 20th July I will pull the records. After 2 days, if I want to execute the package, okay, so in maximum of the cases you need not to pull the entire data again. So after 2 days means 22nd July, if I want to pull the data, then what I have to do is, whatever the data I am having 20th and 21st and 22nd, only these 3 days data I can pull. Okay, so instead of executing the data from business starting date to till date, I will pull only some period of data. Again, after 2 days, let us say 24th July, if I am pulling the data, again, so what is the data I can pull? 22nd, 23rd, and 24th data I can pull. So likewise, like for some period, only some period, like I am pulling the data. Okay, so if the manager or else if the client asks you to execute the package on day-to-day manner, that means every day you may need to execute the package, or else every 2 days like this. If you want to execute the package every 2 days like this, then you have to pull the data in the similar manner. So let us say if you want to execute the package weekly base, then 2 days date plus 7 days. Likewise, you have to execute the package. So in the similar manner, like if you want to execute the package, then you have to open the package and change the source query to get the data according to these dates. Okay, so till now what we are doing, we are taking one source component. In the source component you are just uh, defining the table name and pulling all the records. But if you want to pull only some particular period of data, then you have to give some where class, where condition, filter condition, like select star from a table, where some, here you need to give the some periodical condition. Let us say in the table we have some last modified date. Okay, so where that last modified date is less than or equal to get date. If I am running the package today, then what it will do, since whatever the first record in the source we are having, so from first record to till today's data it will pick. Okay, so assume like 2 days after, if I am executing the package, what it will be, last modified date is greater than or equal to get date minus 2 and last modified date is less than or equal to get date. So that means we are giving some date period. Okay, so likewise. So in the like if you want to execute the package day to day or every day, then what you need to do, open the query, I mean open the source component, and in the source query you need to change the dates like this. Or else get date will pick the date automatically from the system itself. But in some cases, like you may not to give the get date. Okay, you may need to give the date value hard coded. So in that case, if you are having 20 packages, so in the 20 packages, like you need to open each and every package and rewrite the uh, source query again and again, so which is a hectic process. And the real time scenario will be, once you create the project or package, that package will be deployed into SQL Server agent to execute the package automatically without manual interaction. Okay, so in the SQL Server agent, what we will specify is, we will give you the package details and we will specify the frequency when it should run. So the system will automatically start executing the package as per the frequency that we have specified. There won't be any kind of manual interaction. So if it is the case, then you are not supposed to edit that particular package source query manually. Okay, so why? Because you don't have permissions to change the packages, and like the production environment, whatever the environment that they are executing, so that for that environment, they won't give you the credentials to access the package or a SQL Server agent to edit the package. Okay, so in that case, the system will pick the date values dynamically as per our requirement. So if it is, if you want to pick the date values or else any values dynamically, then we go for creating the variables. Variable, that means it varies the data. Okay, variable will contain the varying the data. Okay, so we will create the variables and we will call that variables into the query, and based on that variable data the query will be executed. So let us see how to create the variables. Let's connect to the project. So I will take one package, variables. I will take one data flow task, open the data flow task. Here take one destination, one source. Okay, now what I will do is open the source component and give the connection. Let us say this is what my source. As of now, what we are doing, you are just selecting the connection manager, and data accessing mode you are taking as table or view, and then going into there and you picking up the table. Here what I will do is I will take one SQL command from variable. That means whatever the query I want to pass. Okay, so that query I will save in the variable. So every time I will pass that variable to this source component. So as of now there is no variables I have declared. So I will create some variables here. Let us see. To create the variables, you can see the variables tab over here. Down you can see the variables tab, or else if you right click on the workspace, there you can see the variables option. Go to the variables. In that, what I will do is I will create one variable which holds some date value. Okay, so what my thought is, I want to hold this particular date value. Let us say, let me connect to the SSMS databases. Assume this is what our database tables. So in the employee table, we have this much of data, and yes, I will take the modified date. So distinct modified date. So I have four distinct modified dates. So what I will take is table where modified date is less than or equal to, we will take 01/26/2009. Okay, so 2009 01/26. So I want to pull the records like this. Okay, so where modified date is some less than or equal to some date value. Okay, so now what I will do is, instead of passing this date value like hard coded, I will pass the date value through a variable. Okay, here in place of date value directly I will give some variable. So to hold this date, I will create one variable here. So to create the variable, you can click on the add variable option. I will give some name here. What I can give is modified date. I will create one variable with the name modified date, and I will take the data type as date and time. Why? Because it is holding the date value. Okay. So once you specify the date value, it is taking the value automatically from the system date. Okay. So but what is the value that I want to take? I want to take this value 2009 01 26. That means 01 26 2009. Okay, so this is what the value. Now I have this value. Now again I will take one more variable. I will take one more variable and specify the SQL query, source query. Okay, so query is nothing but this query, this entire query. So it's nothing but a SQL kind of statement, and it's an English statement, right? So I will treat this one as a string, and I will give the expression here. So to write the query, what I will do is, in the expressions you can see the dots, right? So click on there. The expression builder will open like this. So instead of this expression, like I will write my SQL query. Okay, so what is my SQL query? This is what my SQL query. Copy, paste it, and you need to keep your SQL query in the double quotes. Double quotes. At the end also you need to keep your query in double quotes. But here, instead of giving the value as this like hard coded, okay, so I will get that particular date value from the variable which I have created. Okay, I have created one variable to hold the date value, right? So I will take this and I will keep here. So here you can see the variables and parameters. Go to there you can see whatever the variable that I have created. Okay, just select that and drag to the this particular place. Okay, now this variable should have some format. Whenever you want to pass some variable to the query, you need to follow some syntax. This variable should be in enclosed with some plus plus, and it should be with some double quotes. Okay, so once you specify your query over there, you can just go for the evaluation. That means what it will result to, how the system will take the query. So it will show in the evaluate. So it is showing from error, some error. So what is that? Data types DTWSTR and DTDate. Okay, incompatible for binary. So what happening is, whatever the select query I have written is in the string format, and whatever the value I am passing here is the date format. Okay, so both the data types are not compatible with each other. So in that case, what I will do is, this this variable. Okay, so this is what the variable that is holding the date, right? So now I will change the format of this date. Okay, so to change the format of this date, what I will do is, I will take one more variable and I will give the name as passing variable. So this one I will treat as a string. I'm just converting as a string. Why? Because SQL query is string. So I will pass the variable value also as a string. So that's why I'm taking this one as a string. And here, go to the expression. There, what I will do is, I will change this particular date, modified date. Take here. As of now, this is date. Now what I will do is, I will change the format of this date as a string. To change the format, what I will go is typecast. There you can see different formats. From that you can pick that DTWSTR to change the particular variable as a string. Take that and drop over here. Give some length. Around it will be like how many characters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Around you can give as 10 characters and evaluate the expression. Okay, some date it is giving. Click on OK, and then now you can go to the SQL query and write your query like copy double quotes, in between the double quotes write your SQL query, remove your hard coded date, and then this is what the string value containing some date. Okay, specify this in between plus symbols, and it should follow with some double quotes as well. Just evaluate the expression. Okay, so this is what the query that it's going to execute in the backend. Okay, click on OK, save this. Once you done with the declaring variables, then go to the source component, pick your connection, and then change the data access mode to SQL command from variable. Once you give that option, go to the variable name, and what is that variable having the query? This is what the variable. Select this, then it will take the query like this. Okay, so it will show the query which is going to be execute now. So go to the columns. These are all the columns that I am going to pick. Click on OK. Give the connection to the destination. So target. Click on OK. Destination variables 20th July. Okay, go to the mappings. So these are all the hum mappings. I mean, these are all the columns that I am pulling. Just save it and then execute. Okay, so data flow task executed. Let's go back and see our destination table. This is what our database. Take a new query window. Just refresh it. Training tables. So destination variables 20th July. This is what our table name. Select star from that particular table. We didn't get any data. Let's go back and check. Stop this. Open this. This is the what the query that it's going to pull. No data. Okay. There might be some formatting issue with the date. Let us see. Yes, we got the data. So that means some format issue with the date value that we are passing. If you remove this single quotes, it is not treating, it is treating as some other value, and it is unable to pick the records for this particular value. Okay, so if we give this in the single quotes, then it is treating this one as a date, and it is unable to pick the date. So while passing to the variable also, the variable should give the result as like this. Okay, so that means we are missing the single quotes. Okay, so go here now, and what is the query that holding the SQL query? This one, and go here, go to the expression, there place this one in the single quote. Let us see. Okay, now we are getting this one in the single quote. Click on OK, save it, open the source, and it is reflecting here. Just click on OK, save it, and then execute it. So 287 rows we got. Go back and check your database. Yes, we got the data. Okay, so we got the data. So likewise, like you can pass the value to a variable and load the data. So for now we have we are passing the value manually. Okay, so let us say after 2 days if you want to execute the package, then what you have to do, again you need to go to the you have to open the package and open the variable. Instead of the variable, you need to change the value here manually. Instead, what we can do, if we update this value, date value every time by the system automatically, then it will be good for us, right? So for that, what we do is, I will keep all the variables. Okay, this variable data, I will keep this variable data. One second. Yeah, I will keep this variable data in a table. Okay, so let me create a small table. Create table, some date range update, table name some varchar of 30, comma date, modified date as some date function. Okay, I will create one small table. Table is executed. Insert into this particular table. Values I will pass. I will pass table name as some dummy and the date value will be some 2009/01/26. For now I am giving, inserting the data. Select star from. Now this table is having this date as a last modified date. Okay, so what I will do is, now here I will take one execute SQL task, into my workspace. Okay, so open that execute SQL task where this table, is existed in this training database. So I will give the connection for the training database, and I will pick the date value from the table. Okay, so what is the date value? Modified date. Okay, so it will result the date, right? So I will take this date, copy, I will take this date into the execute SQL task. So this select query will result some date. Okay, so I need to catch this particular result. So for that, what I will do is, I will change the result set property here. As of now it is none, right? So I will change this one as a single row. Okay, so it is resulting. So to catch this result, I am changing the result set property as single row. So once you change that single row property, what you need to do is, you need to go to the result set, and you have to give one variable to hold that value resulting by the SQL query. SQL query will result some value, right? So that value I will hold in a variable. So what is the variable that we have created to hold that particular value? Modified date. Okay, so now modified date will catch that particular value. So this one specify as 0. Click on OK. Okay, so now what will happen is, as of now you have declared a variable manually in the modified date. In the modified date you have declared the variable manually, but now what you did is, we have created one small table, and in the small table we have inserted a date. Now this table is having this particular date. So when you write the select query, when you pick the date, it is resulting the date, right? So this whatever the result it is producing by the select query, we are capturing into the we are capturing in the using the execute SQL task. Okay, so instead of the execute SQL task, we are placing one SQL statement. That SQL statement result we are catching into this particular variable. Whatever the variable we are using to hold that particular date value. Okay, so we are taking that value from that SQL query, and that variable we will pass to the data flow task. How we are passing means, like, you give the connection. So what it will do, before executing the data flow task, this will execute SQL task. So instead of the execute SQL task, what happening is, select query is executing. That select query result some value. So whatever the date value that we are getting in the result set, okay, so that is capturing by the modified date. Now modified date, whatever the value is coming to the modified date, that will pass to this passing variable. So this variable will convert that particular date value as a string. Once that is converting as a string, now what we will do is, we will pass that particular string value to the SQL query. Okay, so that SQL query we are using in the data flow task for the source. So now that source will pick the date value. Okay, so once after execution, what I will do is, I will take one more data flow one more execute SQL task. Okay, I will take one more execute SQL task, place the cursor there, I mean place the precedence constraint, open the execute SQL task. Here give the connection training connection, and what I will do is I will just update the date. Update, copy, set modified date equal to some get date plus 2. Okay, so again after 2 days I want to execute the package. That's why I am specifying this one as a get date plus 2. So I will take this and place here. Click on OK. Okay, just click on OK. So now what this package will do is auto size diagram. So instead of the execute SQL task, what we are taking, what we are getting the modified date. Okay, I will change the name as get date from config table. Okay, you will get the date value from the table into the variable. Okay, once after you getting the variable value, then what it will do, it will come to the data flow task, it will execute the data flow task. Instead of the data flow task, what we are having, we are getting the SQL query using this variable. So go to this variable, SQL query variable. So instead of this variable, what we are having, some SQL statement. This statement is calling this particular passing variable. So this variable is how it is defined, it is defined using the modified date. It is defined using the modified date. Now what is the value holding by this particular modified date? Whatever the value resulted by this particular SQL statement, that value is holding by this particular modified date. Okay, so likewise it will work, and then the data flow task will execute. Once after this data flow task executed successfully, then the system will come here, and instead of this, what I have specified, I am updating the date range. What is the date range value? Modified date equal to get date plus 2. Now inside of this table, the date will update, and now what will be the date? Get date plus 2 means like 22nd. 22nd 07. So now what is the value for this particular date value? 22nd 07. So what my thought, after 2 days I want to execute the package. That means now that particular modified date will contain 22nd July. Okay, so whatever the date it is containing in this particular table, it will take the date and it will pass the date through the to the variable by this execute SQL task, and then the data flow task will execute that accordingly, and then again the date value will update. Okay, so that means I have given the interval as 2 days, as I thought of execute the package for every 2 days. Let us say you want to execute the package for every 7 days, then get date plus 7. That means every week it will execute the package. Okay, so likewise you can change the date range without your interaction. So without interacting manually, the system will automatically taking care of updating the date value and pick the date value and executing the package. You need not to open the package and change the date values manually for every time. Let us say we are having only a single package here. So in this case, you may not see much of difference here. But in real time, like you will have a number of packages. Okay, number of packages. Why we are having number of packages means, so we will have many source tables. So for each and every source table, we will have the data from very long. So in that case, like if you want to make that one as an incremental, that means like you want to pick the data for a small period. So in that case, obviously you have to specify some date range. So if you want to specify the date range, what you need to do, you need to open the source component query and then change the dates manually. So need not to do all those things if you specify the variables. Okay, so variables will hold the date value, and that will they will automatically updated by the data flow, I mean automatically updated by the execute SQL task if you specify the update inside of that. Okay, so how to specify, how to update the date range means like whatever the frequency of that package execution. If it is executing for 2 days, then you can go for get date plus 2. If it is executing of bi-weekly, then you can go for get date plus 7. Okay, so likewise, if you want to execute the package for every 10 days, then what you can do, get that plus 10. That's it. So simply the system will take care of updating the date value, and you can execute the package. Simply you can open the package and execute the package. Okay, need not to bother about the changing the date values for each and every package. What you need to do is just create one variable, that's it. Okay, so it will take care of updating the date range for all the packages. So that is what the advantages of the date packages, I mean date variable, creating the variables. So you need to remember one thing is, like, generally what we do is we are just creating the a small table, okay, and inserting the value into the table, and then picking up the value from the table. If you want to update, then we are just updating the value and picking the value from that small table. Okay, so in real time we will follow the similar scenario. Okay, we will keep whatever the tables that you want to pull, you will keep all the values like this. Okay, create one table, and inside of the table you will pass the table name and what is the date value that you want to have. Okay, let us say you are having 10 tables, then you will write some 10 insert statements. Okay, likewise you can write the 10 insert statement, and you can change the table name, dummy1, dummy2, dummy3, dummy4, dummy5, something like that. You can write the statements. So for some of the tables, like the date range, starting date might be this, and for some of the date, the starting date might be something different. Okay, so likewise you can you can specify the dates. So whenever you want to pull the data, that the system will pick the dates automatically from here, and once you update the date ranges, then they will automatically update it. Okay, out of 10 tables, like you want to pull the data from 2009, and out of some 10 tables, like you want to pull the data from 2011, something like that. Okay, so you can specify the date ranges like this, and end of the day, if you want to execute the package bi-weekly or by day to day, day by day, then you can modify the date as like this. Okay, you can just write an update statement instead of the SQL statement, and you can attach that execute SQL I mean attach that statement using execute SQL task at the end of the package. Okay, in some cases what we do is we will place this execute SQL task on top of the container. That means starting of the package. Okay, so that means, like, let us say today is 20th. Okay, I want to pull the dates from last 2 dates. Then what I will do? Simply I will delete this. I will place this. Okay, instead of this, what I'm having, date range, get date plus 2, right? So I want to pull the date from last 2 days. Then in that case, get date minus 2. Okay, so that means it will pull the data from 17th. Now the date will be in the modified date, the date will be the modified date, the date will be 17th. So click on OK. First this will update the date, under after that it will come here, it will open this. Instead of this, what I am taking, selecting the modified date from that particular table. Now the date will be 17th, and that 17th July will be captured into the this particular variable. So now this variable, this modified date will containing the 17th July as a date, and the query, whatever the query you are using. So now if we call this query, so this query is calling this passing variable. So what is the value this passing variable will contain? Passing variable will contain the value from the last modified date. What is the last modified date? 17th July. That means this, whatever the value it is having, this will be captured into here, and then finally it will pass to the SQL query. Okay, so likewise you can place this. So either way is fine. You can place this execute SQL task either here or here, but according to your requirement. Okay, if you want to update now itself the date, then you can place this here, and then I get date plus 2. Or else, let us say, if you want to execute the package, uh, I mean, if you want to update the date at the beginning of the package, then you can place that execute SQL task on top of the package. That means very beginning of the package. So likewise, you can work with the variables. Okay, just have a practice on this variables concept. So it is pretty much easy, and in real time, uh, like maximum cases, like you have to declare the variables, and you have to read the data through the variable. Read the data through the variable in the sense, like you need to write the query inside of the variable and call that variable into the data flow task. Inside of the data flow task, you need to change the data access mode as SQL command from variable. So you have specified some SQL command in the variable, right? So what is the variable? This is what the variable, and this is what the command that I have specified inside of the variable. So likewise, we have to pick the data through the variable. Okay, so just have the hands on this, then only you will understand completely. Okay, so let's wrap up for today, and we will meet in tomorrow's session. Just have a look into this.